What is the purpose of music in ministry?
The purpose of music in ministry, I'd like to kind of use maybe Matthew chapter 6, verses 9 through I believe it's 12 or 13, but where Jesus tells the disciples to pray in this manner. And after they ask him how to pray, teach us how to pray. Verse 10 says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven." So when it comes to music's purpose in ministry, the whole point of ministry, the whole point of what we do is to reflect what's in heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. So we are to replicate, we are to bring forth the manifestation of what's already happening in eternity in the time and space that God has given to us. So music's place in ministry has a lot to do with its place in heaven. And so the glory, the praise, it's the kind of thing maybe that God is searching for when it comes to the atmosphere that is conducive for him to move, for him to come, for him to dwell, for him to abide. And so every king has a certain thing that they desire to surround them in order to prepare them to come and do whatever it is that they're called to do, right? They'll have certain types of dancers, they'll have certain singers, they'll have a band, a musician, or whatever, something, someone, some way of setting an atmosphere that is conducive for me to come and enter in and do whatever it is that I want to do. So music's purpose is to sit inside of a space where we are reflecting heaven into the earth.
So good. As a leader, is it important to distinguish between musical influences?
We have to distinguish between musical influences, and I'll answer this question like this. And that's why I think that there's so many different scriptures we could use to have this conversation. But I think that Matthew 6 and 10 really embodies the majority of the explanations that I give you for certain things. And it's truly, thy kingdom come and thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. And so it's important to distinguish between musical influences, because there was Lucifer, who was the star of the morning, but cast down as Satan. He fell from heaven like lightning. He denied and rejected the goodness of God, and his pride caused him to try to lift himself up above God. But he did not lose. All of his gifts were still with him. He didn't lose any of his gifts. His gifts remain. Regardless of the state of repentance, gifts remain. So his ability to influence music, to influence sounds, still exists. So there's a necessity that we are able to distinguish the difference in the atmosphere through the waves that come from the kingdom of light and the waves that travel in from the kingdom of darkness through the music. So what's the influence of music? What's the motive behind it? This could go a lot of ways, but in order to help you understand just in general is, what is the motivation of the music or the sound that's coming up out of the vessel that it's flowing from? What's the motivation there, right? What motivates the sounds that are being released? Is it from heaven, or is it from the kingdom of light, or is it from the kingdom of darkness? So again, the goal is to accomplish his will on the earth as it is in heaven.
What is presence in music ministry?
Presence in music ministry is the embodiment of God and the presence, the existence of heaven inside of the space that we serve. So I said this a little bit on the last question, and that's that if God is to come, there's an expectation that he has, just like a king he's moved by certain things. So he wants maybe certain dances. He looks maybe for certain like sounds of types of instruments, or singers, or whatever it is, before he makes a move, before he feels like this is a place that's home for me to abide and to stay. And so just like God, so back to Matthew 6, in verse 9, Jesus says to pray, "Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." So he's it's not just the thing that we say as the prayer, but it's actually direction for how we are to engage with God and how we are to engage with heaven. So hallowed be thy name points to the direction of how we are to worship him, what he wants us to say about him. So we give adoration to him. We give credit to who he is. We declare his goodness. We make his name great. We magnify him and we make him bigger over and over and over and over again, so that it creates a space and an environment that he wants to sit and stay in, because it feels like home. So I hope you can feel that when I say it, because if the presence of God is to abide, then we must learn how to host him well. We must become good hosts for God, for heaven, in our home. And that means creating and preparing a place that he wants to stay in. Most times we're just seeking for small visits. But if you can understand and reflect back on the fact that Emmanuel is God with us, and God sent him here for us as a man in the earth, and then when he returned after resurrection, he said, "I'll send you a comforter, somebody to stay with you." He wants to stay with us, but we treat him as if he only wants to visit. He visited in the Old Testament, in the Old Covenant, but in the New Covenant, he really wants to stay and abide. And so the key to us experiencing mighty moves of God is creating a habitation place that he wants to stay in.
What is the value of preparing yourself and setting the tone and atmosphere before and after ministry?
So we have to prepare our hearts, right? It's like when you're at your house and you know that you have special guests coming to visit you. You don't leave things as they are. You check things out to make sure that they're up to par. If a wealthy man, if a king or a queen is coming to visit your home, there are certain preparations that you are going to put in place. You will even find out the certain things that they love or like, so that you are able to host them well. So when we think about preparation, when it comes to ministry and worship and all of those things, we think of the home inside, our personal home, the home inside our head, the home inside our heart, the home inside of our soul, our emotions. Are those things, are those places prepared for God to dwell, for him to come, for us to host his presence? And so that place, that preparation is what is necessary for us. And whatever amount of preparation we put in is what we're going to get out. And by that, really, I mean, it's only pretty equal when you put in like very little to no preparation. But when you sincerely and intentionally prepare to host God, to prepare for his presence, then if you spend 2-3 hours preparing for the presence of God to come and dwell with you, I can promise you, you're going to get exceedingly much more encounter and response from him than the preparation time. And you'll understand that it was more than worth it.
What does posture have to do with music in ministry?
So I'll answer this question by talking about music itself and the posture of that presentation in ministry, in the work of God, in the thing of God. And I'll go back to Matthew 6:10 that says, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven." And so again, the entire goal and objective is that the music will reflect what is in heaven. So the posture of the sound being released should reflect the desire of God's heart, should reflect the first part where Jesus says, where he's telling us, holy, hallowed be his name. And so if I am seeking for the posture that he wants me to release music in, to release this sound in, then the best way to start is by glorifying him, by giving him praise, by magnifying him, by singing the greatness of his name, giving accolades toward turning and pointing towards him in whatever it is that I sing, whatever sound that I release, that I point to his greatness over and over and over again, because that's the thing that gets him to come. And then he'll give us a reflection, he'll give us a release, a prophetic release of what he wants to do next, or what sound he wants to release through. Okay, so here is where, you know, my thing with Cadence Generation and Creative 288, prophetic creatives come into play. Like, I wrote an ebook called The Creative Breakout. And inside of that book, we talk about prophetic creatives and what that truly means. So we know that we were created by the creators to be creatives for his glory. So when you pair that to prophecy and being prophetic, which is a foretelling of what's to come. So when I sing or when I play a sound and I connect to heaven with my gifts in the earth, then I sing what's coming. I play what's coming. So here's the first motion: hallowed be thy name. My worship, my magnification of who he is as I reverence him, as I fix my heart, my mind, all of my emotions, all of my strength on praises and thanksgiving unto him. It causes there to be a linking and a connection with heaven and earth. And I start to become more aware of the kingdom realm of heaven than I am the things on the earth. And so now heaven is engaging with me. And as heaven is engaging with me and I become one with heaven because of praise, I've entered into another dimension. Now the next thing that happens is my praise is just waiting for him. My praise is waiting for him to respond and to declare the move he wants to make. And so as my praise is waiting, it's consistent, it's ever rising, it's constant. And he starts to declare his next thing. He may do it with a particular word, and that word is released from heaven through the earth, and it prophesies the thing that he wants to do. Or he may release it through a sound, the sound that's on the keyboard, the sound that comes through the drums. As that creative is connected to heaven, heaven can release into them the sound, the projection of the next move. So here's the thing about that. We have to be trusting of God, and we have to be patient and waiting in his presence, because when we get a word as singers or musicians and we're hearing from God, we're prophetic in nature as a creative. And so what we say, what we sing, what we play, it prophesies to the next thing. It doesn't happen in that instant in the earth. It happened in heaven when he told us that that's what he was doing. And that's what we have to trust, and that's what we have to receive our confidence from. And here's the reason. Because those that are participating with me, if we're not all in sync, that prophetic move ain't gonna go no further than the first person it was released to. And so the importance of the one that's facilitating, maybe those that are called to be intercessors and priests in the house, and those that are on the instruments, and even the congregation of the people understanding the need to recognize when the move of heaven is seeping into the room, that you grab hold to what that word is and you receive it, you release it with expectation, and it begins to progressively invade the atmosphere and take over, right? So if the posture of the music is right, which is yielded, that's the posture. The posture is yielded. The posture is flexibility. It's not, here's my set list and this is what we're doing, and regardless, right? But that, it's not just for the people that's on the music, because most times they're being steered or controlled by, the person that may be facilitating, or the leadership of the house, or, how the congregation, lack of interest or whatever it may be, or lack of readiness for something more, because they have a certain expectation and they lock you into the limitation of that. But the posture, if God is going to come and dwell and inhabit, then the posture of the music, the posture of the people, the posture of the lead behind the microphone facilitating must be yielded and flexible. If you would like to connect, to learn more about prophetic creatives, to learn more about how your music ministry, or the team that you work with at your church could be trained, then you can connect with me. You can send me an email at kadeshgen@gmail.com, KADESHGEN@gmail.com, or reach out to anybody on the team. We're all a part of South Central. Somebody will be able to get in contact with me, or if you connected with us on social media, my Instagram is @Monica Cage. You can find me on Facebook as Monica Cage as well. And we can come in and train your people. We can help to steward and develop a culture and atmosphere that really is conducive for the presence of God. The other thing is that if you have speaking engagements that you're being called to, and you're looking for some people to travel with you that will be able to help set the atmosphere for the assignment that God has called you to at those particular places, then just get in contact with us and we can discuss the details to see how we can further assist you in ministry. God bless you.